about cancer, specifically lung cancer, and the misconceptions and stigmas that are correlated to this disease. What is cancer? Essentially, cancer is a disease in which cells become abnormal and divide into almost uncontrollable amounts, and they divide the inner bodily tissue. There are many different types of cancers that can be found today in the world. For example, we have breast cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, etc., each being unique and severe in their own respective way. However, when it comes to lung cancer holds a lot of untold truths and mistaken fallacies. For starters, let's look at the indisputable facts of lung cancer provided by certain stakeholders such as the National Cancer Institute and the Lung Cancer Foundation of America. Lung cancer leads the world as one of the biggest causes of death. Within the United States alone, nearly 1/4 of all cancer deaths are correlated to lung cancer, and the number is even higher when comparing in different parts of the world. In fact, now cancer is the #1 cancer killer in the United States. Let's talk about stigmas next and the misconceptions that are correlated with lung cancer. There are a lot of factors that go into the severity of this disease, including the use of tobacco, e-cigarettes, and other forms of smoking. Many people have the stigma correlating lung cancer solely to the works of smoking, almost seeing these two ideals as having a dependent relationship on each other. Though most lung cancer patients have had some correlation to smoking, roughly 20% of people who die from lung cancer have never smoked or had any history tied to it, and 30% of all lung cancer patients have never smoked. Statistically showing, if we're talking about 20%, that's 1 in every 5 deaths caused by lung cancer feature patients that have never smoked in their life. So how can someone develop lung cancer if they have never used any tobacco or smoking product in their life? In simplicity, it's all genetics. Researchers have found that certain gene mutations found within our DNA, especially ones in our upper respiratory system, highly increase the chance of getting lung cancer. Additionally, researchers have found that Asian females have a higher chance of obtaining specific genetic variation to increase their likelihood of obtaining lung cancer. The stakeholder I have chosen to argue against are those who actively avoid advocacy for lung cancer and condemn it. Many people believe that funding and raising awareness for lung cancer would inadvertently promote smoking to the general population, arguing that if people push for increased funding into lung cancer, people would disregard the unhealthy repercussions of smoking and the consequences that come with it. In fact, lung cancer receives one of the least funding of any cancer disease out there, yet is more severe than 99% of them because of the stakeholder's contribution. Because of this stakeholder, lung cancer patients do not receive adequate awareness, support, or funding to help their conditions alive, leaving these patients at a clear disadvantage. As you can see here, lung cancer is significantly underfunded when compared to its cancer counterparts. Yet lung cancer is more severe. For example, the survival rate for breast cancer is roughly around 86-87% over a 5-year period, and lung cancer for a 5-year period is just 6%. Yet lung cancer receives little love and attention for being such a deadly disease that often takes loved ones away from their friends and family. The big question is, should we promote or discourage the amount of attention lung cancer gets? There are a lot of different factors and ways one can perceive this notion. However, we must remember that though many patients have obtained lung cancer in correlation to smoking, 20-30% of the patients are still non-smokers. If we do the math correctly, that's an estimated 31,000 to 40,000 people who die every year from genetic lung cancer. Because of this, many patients are suffering from the smoking stigma correlated with lung cancer. As many of the patients are non-smokers and did not have any choice to prevent obtaining this disease. It is not fair for them to suffer from unawareness and funding because of society's perception. Because when a disease has a lack of funding, there is less research going into it, fewer doctors working in that field, and less support for these patients. And for those who have gotten lung cancer in correlation with smoking, we should still support them in the same way. Because there are a lot of factors that could be at play that we just might not know about, including nicotine addiction or ignorance/lack of knowledge for smoking consequences. And even if these certain factors aren't at play, we should still draw attention to those patients and the value of life that comes with them. In conclusion, it makes no sense to cut funding from a severe disease in attempts to lessen the popularity of smoking. because those who have the disease are already at risk of potentially dying. As compared to the stakeholders' argument, I agree, lessening smoking is indeed better for the general population's health because, of course, smoking is not a healthy thing. However, by cutting funding and awareness for lung cancer, we are putting lives at risk for what? For the potential possibility that people will lessen smoking? No. Instead, we should spread and educate people about the severity and the truths of lung cancer. We should increase funding and support for these patients by finding alternative ways to lessen the popularity of smoking. We should never avoid trying to save lives for the sake of being scared of a possibility. The value of life is what matters at the end of the day.